start off this review, I have to tell you that I'm a big fan of the game. In fact, I think that Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the best games ever made. I may be saying this because I didn't experience that many bugs, but that's my opinion. So, the show was must for me. Do I think that Edgerunners are overrated? Yes. Is it a good show overall? Yes. Do I recommend watching it? Also yes. But it's funny how the game is underrated while the show is overrated. Please be warned that this contains spoilers. Our main hero is David, and I think that he's a good character, but what makes him so good is not immediately seen, and that's very cool. From outside you may think that he's your usual wannabe cyberpunk gangster type who wants to climb to the top to get all the money and influence in the night city. But that's not true, you have to dig deeper in order to see it. And this important trait doesn't develop because his mother dies in the first episode and his life is torn apart. It's already inside of him before that and it never leaves him. David is so tragic not because his mother dies or because he himself dies at the end, no. The thing about him is that he lives for someone else's dream his whole life. When he was living with his mother, he attended Arasaka Academy to get some good corporate job. But that was never what he wanted, it was what his mother wanted. And he was happy by accepting this fate and was getting straight A's while never truly fitting in. There is an interesting conversation between David and his classmate about why he doesn't fit in. David thinks that it's because he's from a lower class of society than his corpo classmates, but the classmate says that that's not it. David has a valid point, because this reason very often is the cause of the turmoil, but in this case I think that classmate is actually right. You see, everyone can feel that David doesn't really want to be there. When David's mother dies, he doesn't even really try to stay. The dream is over, together with his previous life, and he has to find someone else's dream to cling to. And he does this fast, by meeting Lucy and taking on her dream of visiting Moon. And he lives for this dream for the rest of the show. To achieve this dream he needs a lot of money, and he makes money by taking more and more advanced and dangerous jobs. David completely modifies his body and doesn't think about himself just to get further faster. I would like to mention that David hasn't forgotten about his mom's dream too, because when he fights on the top of the Arasaka Tower he remembers that she wanted him to reach the top of this tower. The way how he does it is completely different and ridiculous of course, but still he thinks to himself, look mom, I'm on the top of Arasaka Tower. But why David is like this? As we just established, he was like that already from the start. The events in his life didn't make him like this. I think that the deeper meaning of it is that David has existential crisis, and this symbolizes the insane world of Cyberpunk the best. How can you find meaning in a world which is so wrong, so disgusting and menacing? To not go insane or simply die, David finds something to live for, someone else's dream. These are my thoughts about David, but I have to mention that the anime doesn't dwell on this stuff. It is much more about action, not about the meaning of it all. The meaning is hidden deeper and you have to search for it here to find it. Lucy is another good character. She is the one who has the dream to travel to the moon, but this dream by itself is kind of meaningless. It hides deeper issues within her. Her ultimate goal is to get away from this world of Night City as far as she possibly can, and the most distant possible place is the moon. That's why she dreams about it. It's hard to tell if she really thinks that the moon will solve her problems, but as a symbol of rebellion to the current world it works great. The dream of the moon gives Lucy the meaning in the Night City. Just like David has his existential crisis, Lucy has it too. But Lucy also has more backstory to be like that. She had much tougher life than David in the past. I always like that they show the backstory of a character, and they did it with Lucy, which is great. All the other characters in Edgerunners are not so well depicted as these two, and that's fine. The show is only 10 episodes long, it would be impossible to do it. But there could have been some interesting backstory of Main and Dorio. They could have had a whole arc dedicated just for them. and that's one issue with the show. There are a lot of promising characters, but I never grew any attachment to them because the show was just too short and there were too many important characters. You just simply don't know anything about them to form some opinion. They just kind of exist there, and in a way this could be regarded to David and Lucy too, because Edgerunners mainly focuses on action and leaves the characters themselves in the background. Only if you dig deeper you can find this great potential in these characters. Action, action, action. The whole show is based on non-stop action. For me personally, there were a bit too much of action and sometimes I was kind of bored of it. Let me explain. It's not like I don't like the action. The issue here is that for me action needs to have a build-up. There should be some conflict, some issue where everyone gets kind of tense, and then the action releases. I didn't feel this here. There were just non-stop action from the start to finish. I liked the action at the end of the show because that really was the culmination, the big ending, but in the middle there were just too many unnecessary action scenes for me. From another point of view, this could be interpreted that there are no fillers, and that's also true. This is just my view on this. The show looks cool and artistic, character designs are also great, and the show stays true to the game. There's a lot of gore in this show, and I think it is one of the reasons why people liked it so much. You don't usually see such crazy depiction of action. It probably brings out some nostalgia of 90s anime, and you can even find parallels here with Akira, although the overall vibe is not similar. Although Edgerunners is undoubtedly an anime, it doesn't give typical anime feel. It has more western writing and feel over it. That's not a complaint, it's just something I noticed. It's hard to explain, but I think this is because there are no usual goofy anime characters and jokes involved. It has more grown-up feel to it, which is good. There are no Japanese customs and traditions too, as it should be, because the show happens in the Night City. This could be some of the reasons why it felt more western than other anime. The pacing of the show was good, because the culmination really happened in the end. Like the whole story came together there. The strong ending made me notice that despite the short runtime of 10 episodes, viewer gets attached to the characters at the end, and the show gives necessary emotions here. That's a real indicator that the show was good overall. Story of Cyberpunk Edgerunners is not that smart, and that's fine. The main focus here is the struggles of characters. It has more emotional approach than smart approach here. There of course is usual cyberpunk conspiracy located in the background, and it is the driving force of the show, but in the end it's just a new weapon in Night City full of weapons. This idea is not fundamental or world changing. In the end viewer understands that it always was about our characters here, and how to ultimately fulfill your dreams, but is it worth it at the end? However, here I have to mention that the show falls short if we compare it to the game, and this is a non-popular opinion, but I think that the game has much more depth to the story. I really like that Edgerunners show had a proper ending. Although it was too short to properly develop characters, the ending was strong. These days we don't see that many proper endings because many shows are going for inconclusive season count. They rely on additional budget if a show is popular and meets public expectations. Then some great shows are developed endlessly until they are not good anymore, or other good ones but unpopular are never really finished. However, I would like to mention that the ending of Edgerunners was so good that it works both ways. It actually can have a second season because we never really see David dying. Also they show some part of Adam Smasher's body. It could be that David does something to this part which makes Smasher struggle. Then Militech joins in and steals David in order to secure the weapon he has become. They can revert cyberpsychosis because a big corpo could have some better drugs against it than David had. This of course is just my imagination, and the show as well can end with David dying and becoming a Night City legend. Edgerunners is a good show, but it struggles because it's too short of only 10 episodes long. This is not good for character development, non-stop action doesn't help with this. You have to dig deeper to understand the brilliance of this show. However, people seem to love these characters anyway. Edgerunners stays very close to its source material. This is a good and bad at the same time, because it doesn't introduce original ideas. If you ask me, there are better cyberpunk anime out there, and it's Psychopass, but still, Cyberpunk Edgerunners is good and unique show. I give it 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching.